Hello, this is the Playground Experience here with our own co-host here, April Williams and Kathy D. Yes, and I am Divine Sunshine. That's who I be. So,
Yes.
I try to rhyme. I try to rhyme. How's those energies treating you all? I know it has been a rough one, especially with all the emotions. And again, with the divine feminine energies, this is something that we have really found ourselves really riding the wave and how it's been expressed also into the 3D, into our 3D world too, as far as us trying to get a good hold on things. And there's a lot of people, we've all been saying there's a lot of sleeplessness going on, some of us not being able to sleep, but it's not in like a bad way. Like I was watching Indigo Light, he was saying the same thing, and I was like, yes, that is true. I haven't been sleeping myself, and other people that I know that's in the little soul family, I know they say I've been waking up at 2, waking up at 4, or just
Hmm.
talking to spirit. And it's like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just like you're trying to get things in order, trying to say what's the order of the day, what you're going to do. Is talking to you talking to it. And it was interesting when I was watching his video. He was saying now is the time when we're talking about us doing our meditation work. He was like, cut the affirmations out. This is a time to right now, which is to actually just to listen and to get the message.
Hmm.
You talk back to spirit and you have that dialogue back and forth instead of us always spilling all this stuff. I am great, I am this. I would say, even if they would say take that off the table, I would say also set the intentions for yourself as you're going throughout the day, so that could be like a constant reminder, and that you're setting the frequency of the day, especially during these times, because that's why I titled it "Seize the." I think it was "Seize the Day" or "Seize the Moment," or what did I seize it? Seize it something. Uh,
Caesar salad.
seize the energy, because it is time for us to actually to do that. We've always talked about the energy taking control. Is that me? Oh, some say don't. We always talking about the energy. Yeah. Okay. One has only. Okay. Well, I'll deal with that later. I ain't doing that one now. We always have things like that, distractions, pop-ups in our own life, just like a pop-up file coming on the computer. Tell me I got 1% disk space. What is it, man? We can use that as a message too. What is it that we seeing that we only got like 1% left, and we need to go ahead energetically and release and get rid of all of that stuff so we can have some more space. And this is where we are in our energies right now, is that especially emotional. Pisces, new moon in Pisces. Pisces is a very emotional sign, but however, it's high in intuition, and also into manifestation. And my mom always had a running joke that Pisces was a sign that had all of the signs in there. Uh,
Hmm.
so that way, we've got to learn how we can be able to ride all those differentiated. It's like a car with different gear shifts when it comes to emotions, of how we're dealing with what's actually happening to us now. So for me, I would say right now is getting control of the ego. A lot of dialogue and telling myself no. A lot of dialogue and telling myself in my ego is starting that chatter again. But then telling myself, no, this full stop. That's it.
Hmm.
Retraining it. I liked how also the man said, and he was really on it with from Indigo Light, and he was saying you've got to get to the point that you tell your ego to, I'm going to position you. I'm going to hire you for another position. I'm not gonna fire you, because if you say that to your ego like, well, she getting rid of me. And then it gets worse, it gets louder. But in a better sense of it right now, especially with these emotions and egos go hand in hand. Like I say, you talk about the playground experience. This is a regular playground for the ego with all this emotional stuff that's actually going on. And so it's really like, oh, I got it. Give me the ball. I catch it. I'll do this. And you want to say, no, sit your little self down. I know you've had that. Matter of fact, every time when you catch the ball and you do something in my life, you make it worse. So what I need you to do is just go sit down somewhere. And this is where we this is where we are. April, you're not ego. So we want you to actually go sit
Sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes
Sometimes, right?
she ain't never lie. I'm just listening. I'm here. I'm connected with you, whether I'm in this dimension or not. I want you to always understand that I'm part of this flow with you in this experience. Yes, she ain't never lied. It is coming up big time right now. The storylines that we're telling ourselves have got to quit. It's more like let the story tell itself now.
Mhm.
Let it reveal itself to you. We've
Mhm.
been putting all this pressure because we have all this influx of technology and et cetera, et cetera. We expect things to be fast and instant. And we
True.
know that in the future and in other timelines and other dimensions, we're all completely psychic and we're all connected. But that's not right now. Okay. So we're all in these different flows and these different parts of our respective timelines, but then the slowing down and just be. And there's so much pressure being put on us to really show us our own character,
Yes.
because there's a difference between, like she was saying, the I am and the where you are.
Mhm.
And to allow the steps to happen in between to get to the I am, you
Mhm.
need to allow for that montage. And a montage is a period of time, and it
True.
takes the listening and the going with the flow. It takes more than just hearing the action, but actually doing the action to its completion. Not just,
Mhm.
oh, I started it, it should be done, I should have it now, right? No, you gotta keep going. You gotta plug forward. There's been a lot of putting on more than big girl panties. It's like full on hazmat gear. Like, what do we need to clean out now? What are
Mhm.
we no longer tolerating, in the sense that we said we weren't tolerating it, but did we actually have consequences to those actions? How do we do that? Someone had said a little bit earlier, not necessarily in this conversation, but in one of the conversations I had today, was sometimes you have to go through the uncomfortableness of growing.
Mhm.
Growing isn't always that sweet, oh, comfortable, getting to the next stage. There's an uncomfortable part of it. And sometimes that means telling yourself no. We're not going to repeat that storyline of ourselves that we keep actually making manifest. Right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
No, we're going to actually make ourselves do this walk or this exercise or eat this properly for a whole week and see how we feel, versus I did it one meal, or I walked one day. Why aren't I have abs yet or something? I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but not really, because
Mhm.
all of us want to, not all of us, but a large portion of us want to jump the gun. We want the pandemic to be over with and all this whole process. We're all growing now. All the systems are changing. And that means we get to change. But like we do the towers every time, we walk to them. We enjoy them. We accept them. We allow the energy to enter in so that it can change into something else and be fully something else, instead of I'm going to hold on to it. I won't really let it process. So then it bounces back out and comes back in the same way, or stronger, or in a different
Mhm.
form. So we let it come through. We embody it. We be in that uncomfortable space. And that's kind of where I feel like right now is that uncomfortable space. I'm like, yeah, it's alchemizing. It'll change. It has changed, right? I'm willing to accept that emotion. I'm willing to accept that experience. I'm willing to acknowledge that part of myself or that part of other people,
Mhm.
right? A lot of the things that were coming up for me this week were a lot of clearing out of childhood wounding, a lot of, um, I guess it was misunderstanding or I took, when you take on the energy of a missing parent. So my father was missing from my life, not this earth. He's still alive, but he was missing, right? So I always was like, well, he had his things. That is me, right? That is part of the whole storyline. But then I was like, no, actually, he's pretending to be something that he hasn't been to me. But it's nice that he wants to be that, right? So in a certain respect, he is that. He is that which he has created. And then another respect, he isn't that, because I know him as another instant. And
Mhm.
so how does that reflected in my choice of relationships?
True. It will show up.
Mhm.
And how is that about how I value myself? Am I valuing myself as from that little girl's perspective who doesn't have her daddy anymore. You know, I remember that moment when we were driving away from him and I was crying and I was reaching out for my dad. I remember that moment. But then I remember throughout the years, less and less contact and no efforts, even though there were still efforts for me reaching out. Now I could go through the process of saying, you know, it wasn't your fault. It was kind of how they do their reaction. Maybe it was too painful for them. But then, you know what? I never gave myself permission to feel like, no, that wasn't okay. They could have tried harder. They could have fought for me. They could have done these things. But that's not what happened. And so I let that sink in and say, no, I'm worthy of that connection. I'm worthy of being fought for. I'm worthy of being stood up for.
Mm-hmm.
And then all hell breaks loose, right? Because then you're like, I have this new paradigm of reality. And then all this other stuff, you're like, I don't tolerate any of this anymore. Now let's clear it all out. And that's what it feels like. Thank you, New Moon. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Thank you. Oh, I got you. Yes, Kathy D, what's happening with you?
Um, there is a lot of karma flying around, and it's one of those be careful what you wish for. When you asked for the front row seat when it was all happening in the popcorn, yeah.
Okay.
So if you're in that seat, just remember that it kind of slings when they are receiving it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I have had the not being able to really sleep, that if it makes any sense, it's like I know my eyes are closed, but it's like my eyes are open in my closed eyes.
Yeah, got you.
And so it's like, you're almost like, okay, now what are we going to do? Because the body's asleep, but everything else seems to be wide awake. And,
Mhm.
going through that. But then April made a good point about the lessons. And right now lessons are coming up and lessons that were like from 2 and 3 years ago. And they're coming up and it's like, nope, nope, not falling into that again. I know what happened the last time I fell into this and I'm not manifesting it. I'm not. No, I'm just not. And so your lessons are coming extremely clear. Now, whether they involve the DM or not, mine happened to be, um, but it's real strong. Like, nope, not playing into that negative, not going down that road with that negative. But then also being really firm in boundaries and really watching who pushes through and who stops at them. When you say, this is how it's going to be, and this is what you're going to do. And like my children love to buck me about doing house chores and things like that. And when, I say no, and I mean no, and they know I mean no. And, they will somewhat step two. They might not do it immediately, but it does get done. And then there are others that just, plow through them like they're a finishing line and they think they get a trophy for, collapsing my boundaries. So, yeah, the new moon has been crazy. Now we've had a bunch of little portals, throughout these, last 2 weeks too. We had the 3-3 portal. We had the what was it the other day? We had the well, today is, 12 and 21. So we have those two numbers in our date. Bonita, if you're still on, there was that other one that we found that was a one, and I can't remember which one it was, but and so those little, like, they're not big ones. They're almost like little searchlights that we're getting, these little bursts of knowledge from.
I forgot I was on the show. Was it the ninth?
Yes, that was it. That was it.
Okay.
No, I did.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I just put it in the chat. Was it the ninth? I was like, oh, wait. Oh yeah.
I am on the show. I am the show.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, so it's there have been all these little like pockets of hidden gems, but I have noticed that as I get up in the morning, still kind of waking up, and I start with, amazing miracles are going to happen today. Today is going to be a fantastic day. And so there's not that drudgery of going into work and things like that, like really putting those manifesting powers to work, taking them from the negative to the positive, really being mindful, like uber mindful of words. And that was something when we were up in Casadega that even the reader mentioned to me, was that and use the example that we all use about spell and spelling. And so that was I knew that was a point that, just confirmation that needed to really be,
Go this way.
you know, careful with.
Sorry, I think I did mute.
I got you. You have been muted. I ding. So yeah, so those are we've been going through this emotional. I think in some ways a lot of times when these things these lessons like you say are coming back and recycling again is number one is to see have we truly learned. Two, are
Mhm.
we going to go fall back to the what we know, the devil we know. And three is to really for us to exercise to retrain, like I said, about that inside the ego or to really ourselves to pick another one. It's almost like Groundhog Day,
Mhm.
little experiment or that effect. And it's like, okay, here we go. We wake up again, and it's like, okay, and we were all right. Here comes the same scenario, but I made the same choice until next time. You like the 55th time. You're like, okay, well, you know what? I think maybe this time I'm not going to step off the curb. This time I'm going to wait until the car passed by. Then I'm going to step off the curb because every time I try to step off the curb, I get whizzed, I get splattered, and I get hit by the car every time I do that groundhog, and then I wake back up again because I'm from dead and I'm awake again to try it all over again. So this is where we are. I think that with these energies, like you said, there have been some caveats or some diamonds in the rough that has happened in between. Uh, and I think one of them is just knowing that I've seen that even when I choose to try something different or not to respond in the same way that I had done before, uh, it looks like it's like a energy, like it's like okay, that's it, it's passed. You passed the test, and it doesn't come back up
Mhm.
again. Because I know if I had a couple of incidents with relatives, and I was like, I was like, no, you're not gonna make me crazy this time. No, I know what I saw. No. And so then after a while, but then the next day it was like right as rain. It's like it didn't even happen. And I was like, well, what was that? Like, was that like a test or am I getting punked? What the heck was that about? So it was like, no, we just wanted to see that you learned. So now that's
Mhm.
off the table. And other things come to replace that. So it's really at this time and I know it's hard because it looks like again, although you clear one thing, but it looks like again, it's some other ones that come right behind. I can see it like an army, like they'll knock down, here's another one to replace. Okay, that's knocked down, here's another one to replace. And no matter how things even seem, I know even with me in the DM, things have been going great. And then I found myself the little ego was coming out and was saying, okay, too good to be true. I was like, okay, now who's this talking? Okay, that's okay. This is ego.
Mhm.
Okay, now hold on a second. Now let me shut you down real quick and say no. No, I'm not gonna do that. I like how the man again from Indigo, I just said watched him. He was like, you have to tell him say no, I'm not gonna do that. I want this. So I'm not gonna let you have that by you still in that moment by you going into this ego, which is again, ego is just protected just to come out of our emotions. Two
Mhm.
emotions and egos come out just to protect us and to kind of stop us because they think they're doing the best. But we have to, again, we got to re-employ them. We got to find a way in which we employ them into another position and then sit down and re-script it for them and telling them what they are required to do from this point on. And what you did a nice job. But right now, you're not fired, but I'm going to take you into a different way of how you are expressing yourself now in my life, because now I'm in the driver's seat, or now I'm in control at
Hmm.
this point. And so that's what I've been finding with between that and parenting. Like you all said, I forgot who it was. I think it was April, about that childhood stuff that's coming up. That's coming up to roost too as well. And you got
Hmm.
to get a control of that childhood things that you feel is replaying over again. And my thing is now even giving permission to myself to say it's okay to not be okay, and to really
Hmm.
accept all parts of me. I know I said that in the reading before, but that has really been working with me. It's like, okay, I sent something out wrong. Okay, person called me on and say you spelled my name wrong. Okay, all right then. All right, things happen. You know,
Hmm.
before I used to tell Spin about it. Now it's just like, okay, all right, what can you do? Fix it. Just go in there and fix their name, and then send it back out there. Let's not go off the deep end about it. So I think that's where a lot of us are, is really retraining ourselves too, as well.
Hmm.
This energy that it presents that great opportunity, especially also for manifestation. Because again, our emotions, we get into our feels, we get into our ego, and it blocks us for truly being able to manifest that thing from that ticker taper of that underlying program that we got going on within ourselves. To, the ego say you can't do it, and you're like, no, I want to do it. Now you can't do it. Remember last time when you do it, it didn't work out so well. Did. And that's something you got to kind of like shut it down as well. And so that's what I've been kind of, this seems like with these energies here with this new moon, is like really for us to sit there and really take a stance against our emotions, to really to do that at this time.
And the DMs are doing that too right now.
Yeah,
They're being tested. These new emotions are coming up, or old emotions that are now being brought to light with them. And so having to deal with that in a different way. Einstein calls it, when we do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, that's the definition of insanity.
right.
And so a lot of that is going on. And also I've noticed that, where you're talking about ego, if you were a very passive person and you didn't want to make waves, and you just smile and nod to keep everything, copacetic, and you weren't going to rock the boat. And now it's like all of a sudden, April and I were talking about it before we went live. I mean, it's like all of a sudden you're like, ah, you're ready to, you're on the attack, and I was a reader. I heard, I don't remember if it was today or yesterday, but talking about one of the tarot cards that she was using in a deck, and it had a blindfolded lion.
Yeah,
And she said, blindfolding a lion, they're coming out because they don't know where they're coming, but they're going to tear up something on the way out. And
yeah,
that's kind of, the energy of whatever. If you have always been that lion, you're learning to step back, which is a shock because people are expecting you to come out like the Tasmanian devil. But if you're very passive and just wanting to keep everything happy, and all of a sudden you're coming out like that blindfolded lion. So people are being caught off guard by the reactions, especially people that maybe, trigger you or push buttons, things that normally you would just let go. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we have to be careful with it, not let it take over, but we have to let it express itself as well, because a lot of that, when we push down those emotions as well, um, we kind of then tell ourselves, we tamp it down. Oh, it's not okay to be mad. It's all right to be mad. It's how you handle it. Can you be mad at a situation? Yes, you can be mad at a situation, but when you turn it into a personal vendetta, that, well, you did this and you did that's where then it's no longer good, because that's where ego jumps in. But when you can say, I'm not happy with the way you handled this situation, and it made me feel this way, and you express yourself with authority, there's a difference.
I also like to take responsibility for myself and my choices and how I even
Hmm.
involved myself in that scenario. And I will
True.
go even so far back as to say I chose to be born to these people at this time. in this stage of where they were in their life processes. So it doesn't release you back into any type of victimization when you
Mm-hmm.
can own your ownership for being conscious and present in this world.
Mm-hmm. And taking responsibility is such a lesson, and I think that's a major lesson that is being taught across the board. I mean, I see it with my children, as well as some adults that I have come across, being able to stand up and say, I knew I played a part in this, and it might not have been the best part, but I accept the part and I accept the outcome for my actions. And then there are others that it's still everybody else's fault, and those are the ones that I don't think they've gotten to that step of maturity to move forward. As long as as long as it's everybody else's fault, you haven't gotten to that step of maturity to say, yeah, I screwed up. It was, I got caught in traffic. Yeah. I know how Thursday traffic is. Should I just maybe left a little bit earlier? Yeah, probably. Was I sliding in sideways? Yeah, like I usually do, and I got caught. If I would have left at the right time, I wouldn't have. So, yes, traffic played a part in it, but I also had my part in it.
And going from small realizations and small self forgivenesses to huge
Mhm.
ones, right?
Yes.
Because they're and in order to make it consistent, like
Mhm.
me saying, okay, I forgave myself for being born into this world at this time to these people, and they were this traumatized and they passed this down so many generations, and I'm I apologize to myself, but I'm not saying go that deep right away, just more like the little forgivenesses of, I was late, I spilled something on my nice shirt even though it's spent all day getting dressed, some little things like that. And then once you start to see your patterns,
Mhm.
once you start to see, because healing, I never say to someone, I'm going to heal you. What
Mhm.
I really mean is, I'm going to awaken you to your own healing.
Mm.
My ability to open your heart to yourself and to love yourself so much to allow yourself to be healed is a whole nother level of space. And it doesn't create codependency. What it creates is empowerment,
Mhm.
sovereignty, and that's where we are
Independent.
at. Yes, and we are growing into that as a society. We're all learning to question authorities,
Mhm.
question why we're carrying the weights that we're carrying, question our parents who raised us in certain ideologies or families or cultures or even regions of where we live, because now we're all being thrust into one epic human, for lack of a better word, change. There, that's a better word. Uh, Tons of human change. Our
Mhm.
species specifically is going through so much that we cannot ignore ourselves or each other.
Mhm.
So thank you for joining us today. Like, subscribe. Remember, Divine Sunshine has done a lot of work to keep us in our heart space on the
Mhm.
playground.
Yeah,
Well, and
yeah.
I think, talking about the little things, we're having those realizations too, that things that before maybe we saw as imperfect with ourselves or even with the DM become perfectly imperfect, because that's who makes us who we are. And when you truly love unconditionally yourself, of course, that, you always have to start there with self love. When you can love those imperfections of yourself, it's so much easier to love others with those imperfections. And just in the last few months, I have learned that, and looking back on, past relationships and doing things like that, when I went into it with the mindset of, I can fix him, I'm going to change him, I'm going to help him, I was done for. But when you go in with, I love you just how you are. I don't care if you're an ass. I don't care if you have a big nose. I don't care. I love you just the way you are. I wouldn't change a thing about you. that takes all of that, um, when you're trying to control things, and it takes all of that away. It's no expectations. You're not looking for the knight in shining armor anymore. You're looking for, the crazy goofball that makes you laugh and wants to face the day with you. Not save you, but face with you. And that, when you get to that point and you're comfortable in it, you're comfortable looking at yourself like that. It's all right that, I might be a little off. It's all right that, I'm a Star Wars nerd. Those kind of things which we wouldn't have been, accepting of. Um, Once we do that, it's so much easier than to look at others with those goggles on, not rose colored. We're not putting them on a pedestal by any means. We're putting them next to us and say, hey, you're just as much of a nerd as I am, and that's what I love about you.
I'm going to say that I got slightly triggered by what you were saying, and I'm going to rephrase what you said because I know you mean it in the most loving way. So when she's saying that you don't want to be saved, right? She's not saying that you can't be vulnerable
Right.
or you can't be open or say, I just want to be held or hugged or somebody, your other wants to do these things for you and you can openly communicate that to them. What she's saying is that you don't need them to do that for you to get up to do the next thing that your guidance is telling you to do or your
Hmm.
spirit is telling you to do.
You're not the
You are
damsel in
willing
distress.
and your but see, we're still putting ourselves in that need. I want to be vulnerable, right? Because I'm going to fight for my vulnerability in the
Hmm.
language. So by saying I'm a damsel in distress, I would never say I was a damsel in distress. I would say that I was a woman who needs safety in order to be able to be vulnerable with somebody.
Mm.
But I will get myself up every day and I will go through and do what spirit's telling me to do, will tell me to clean, will tell me to like guide my son and will show me I'm going to do these things. And I know that I'm doing it with as much love and as much focus and attention as I can. But when I'm in that space of being vulnerable, I will be there and be vulnerable.
Hmm.
I will be able to tell you all of these things that I've been wanting to tell you, where I'm not victimizing myself or vilifying you, but I'm just being and shedding and becoming. And that sweetness, that vulnerability is not distress. It's just being it's just being vulnerable. It's just being sweet. It's just being tender. And so there's a space, right? Because I'm working out ways to stop shitting all over myself, right? Maybe I shouldn't have shared that. It's like, no, it's okay to share that, but you're not asking them to change it for you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of because I'm totally princessy. I'm totally queen status. I'm totally empress step. But I'm not distressed in the sense that, oh, I can't get myself out of this moat. It's like, girl, stand up and walk out of the moat.
Hmm.
you know? And then he will be waiting for you in the bath so you can cleanse together because you were in a moat and you smell a little funk. Okay?
That's especially back there in the Middle Ages. Help us, Lord.
I don't know. You might smell better as often as they
Something might
bathed
go
back
bad.
then.
Yeah, right. What the
Well, pineapple fish life, I don't know what's happening over there. Salty, sweet, funky. Actually,
Lord.
it sounds like a delicious dish. Personally, we are
Hmm.
going to create a signature pineapple fish life dish. And
But we can't use pineapple fish. We'll use mahi mahi instead. So,
okay. Oh, that's
well,
an
because
actual fish.
yeah, well, yeah, pineapple fish is an actual fish. It is a fish from Australia, and it lives in the Great Barrier Reef. And as it gets older, it is actually the nightlight of the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, cool.
It glows, and as it gets older and it glows, where most of its light comes from is its smile. It actually smiles.
That's the coolest thing
Yeah, it
ever.
is. I'm like a
So
cool.
that's actually how we came up with pineapple fish, was because of the fact that it's light in the dark and it always has a smile. And actually Helen came up with the name. She goes, "Mommy, that's the name of your business. You got to go pineapple fish." She said it sounds
Oh,
easy, and she had looked it up and she said it's really a fish.
Oh my
okay.
God.
That is pretty cool.
That
And
is
its
cool.
whole thing. But I thought of a Yo Mama joke. Your mama's a pineapple fish. What? Your mama's a pineapple fish because her teeth so yellow they light up the darkness. Ah! We got your mama jokes on the playground. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
my God.
Take her out of the sandbox. That's it. Get her out of the sandbox.
Right. Taking us back to the daggone childhood. Oh my God.
But that's still so cool. A
That is
nightlife fish.
cool. I never did.
Hmm.
Nightlight fish.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
And it's yellow and brown, and that's how it gets the name of the pineapple fish.
Oh. I'm
Sounds beautiful. We're gonna look it up. We're gonna do it.
that's
Actually,
Anyway.
my original logo before I went with the one with the pineapple on it is actually a picture of the pineapple fish.
Yeah, that would have been a much more obscure reference.
Yeah, so it was like, why do you have a yellow and brown fish on you? You know, so
right.
it makes more sense to have the pineapple, kind of the welcoming kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
Or you can do one of those, like, if for your channel they have the thing where you can do the little ads. You play the video for the channel. That could be your little explanation. But I don't know. She does
it's hard to
hypnotherapy.
get them on film because it's dark
Oh yeah.
down there in the Great Barrier
I
Reef.
don't know. You
So.
got those fairies last week. You're bound to get a pineapple fish.
Well, no offense, guys, but I'm not going down to the Great Barrier Reef. There are also great whites down there, and I'll pass. So fairies don't have big teeth. Sharks do.
Fair enough. Although the Menehune out here, because in Hawaii they have Menehune, and
Yeah.
I don't know if they have sharp teeth, but they have really funny sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Ah,
I think
I
I think the fairies we saw last weekend were they're so spoiled to see their, and I've got to get you those pictures, to see their fairy gardens is just unbelievable. And all the little houses, and everybody leaves them trinkets and shoes and shells and all kinds of great things. So that's one of the reasons I think they're a little more docile.
Okay.
they've been appeased.
Yes.
Oh, they
Good
did.
point. Leave offerings everywhere.
They did a piece. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess so. They like, listen here, they writing notes to the little fairy friends. I'm living now. High life down here. I got high rise, a condo overlooking the lake down here. What you got? Nothing but forest. No, friend.
Like, I even got a theme song when I go out.
I'm gonna see right. People take pictures of me. I'm like, got paparazzi all over place. What they doing with you out there in the forest? Nothing. You wish you had my life. I know you did.
Oh man. So, I know that I think this is a good time because this space that we're all entering into energetically is a very deep, deep cleansing time.
It is.
And what's beautiful about this time is a lot of us really do have our heads on straight. They, meaning the greater society and news outlets and all these things, they're pushing a fear agenda, and it's clear at this point. And I feel like most people are not phased by it. There's still a few people that are still, blindly following along, but everybody's kind of questioning everything, especially themselves. And since majority of people who are watching this are twin flames, I highly suggest that you take a little bit of time to go within and really clear this stuff out for the collective. And I'm not saying that you're clearing the collective. What I'm saying is you're clearing yourself and the collective starts to clear. And
Okay.
that's an immediate reaction, and you will see it happening around you. especially in your immediate environment, and how you have the relationship with the day to day. There's also probably a larger amount of depression that might be going through, that's rising up out of this, especially with a lot of people dealing with these dark winters. Like we're talking dark night of the soul and like real life 3D manifestation type stuff, where
True.
people are kind of put into the stage of fight or flight. And so when you look at what triggers you simply when you're not actually in fight or flight, it allows you to go deeper into these experiences with self reflection so that you can really anchor in who the I am is supposed to be, right? Because you're clearing out the way, and then spirit shows you the next moves so that you can be guided and trust your guidance.
Mhm.
Trust that you're here. That's what we're here to do, is to, one, give you a little bit of lifting up when all of this stuff, you feel like a lot of stuff is coming down on you and there's a lot of confusion. But we also want you to know that you're the light for so many around you. And you may feel like you're at odds with the people around you as well, but believe it, you're the light. That's why they're so questioning. That's why they're so, are you sure? Is this safe? I'm fighting for my space to be okay to be me. And it's like, no, it's okay to be you. But it's also okay to let this go too, because that's not really you. And
No.
they're asking for that reflection from us. They're asking for that information because nobody else is going to be real with them about this on the spiritual level that you're going to be real with them about it. So please continue to be yourself, continue to do this self reflection. Obviously, be, be in a safe, secure space so you can adequately and properly respond. If you're in the middle of going through so much turmoil that you think that you'll turn out and lash this out to others, then, you know, pause and reflect about it, get some professional help, right? Because there's lots of stuff out there. Or, a lot of us have services as well. Kathy D does some amazing hypnotherapy to help clear all kinds of blockages for finances, for eating habits, for all kinds of stuff. She does amazing work. I wish she could prop herself up because she really does. She's helped clear a ton of different blockages for me personally, and it left me with space to do more healing. Like I thought I deep cleaned, okay, I thought I square cleaned,
Oh
but
yeah.
then something comes up to you and you're like, I'm acting like I did when I was a teenager or in junior high or as a child, and you're like, okay, I guess that still needs some support. Where how can I love myself some more? And what you do is you get someone to help with the services. It's like, okay, you can paint your nails at home, you can do the whole thing. That's nice, but there's nothing like getting a manicure. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So you do, and they do such a cleaner job. They do so much more putting it together for you. And so that's why you go out and get services. I want to prop up this way. That's right. I want to prop up our sweet divine sunshine. She does a lot of amazing work too. Um, all kinds of wonderful readings. She's got a cool 30-day, is it 30-day program going on
30
right now?
day
Is it 45?
transformational program.
A
30
30-day
days.
transformational
Mhm.
program going on. To have her as a mentor, you can ask anyone that went through the Sunshine Circle round. She is an amazing teacher and guide, and I would really highly recommend getting on board. I just did a whole spiel about you, Kathy D, about how good you are and how people should work with you.
Well, thank you. Sorry, guys.
And
I have a house full of teenagers, and pizza just showed up, so I knew I needed to go grab something if I was going to eat afterwards.
Right.
So,
Okay. We wrapping up. But come on. Yeah.
and if you're really having a space where um, you want to find, okay, so I do a lot of things. But one of those things is clearing, helping bring up and out energy, this lifetime, other lifetimes. We can also come up with a plan for you in terms of if you have any particular habits that you're wanting to clear. Um, I do energy work for particular areas, um, meaning all areas if you want them. Honestly, I've done some really really interesting things, and what happens is when I tip into you, sometimes energies will just come, and I can just send you an email or a text or something. I'm designing a program that's going to come out either right before or with our 4 event. So many fours on the screen. I was like, four, 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 four. Am I looping? Am I looping? Um, the Ground Zero event to actually help clear out the womb, come up with a protocol for 3 months that's part of the raffle that we're doing. And for you to kind of reconnect with that woman that you are. And no matter what stage, it helps with everything from fibroids, endometriosis, fertility, just clearing out excess spiritual stuff. It does all kinds of wonderful stuff. So we have our 4/4 event coming up. I highly suggest you come and join us.
There we all are.
Yes. Oh, Patricia's gonna be there. She's my favorite. And you can get those at divineunisols.com or .co, excuse me, divineunisol11.co. Jennifer and Kathy are going to be there. How fun. Our sweet Benita, she's amazing too. All these intuitive, spiritual healers and energy workers and just motivational, inspirational women are going to be here at the event for our Ground Zero. And with everything that's clearing out right now, I really highly, highly suggest you show up and just get all these wonderful tidbits that Spirit is giving there. The meditation that I will be adding onto that as one of the bonuses is actually it's pretty connecting with you and Earth and this time. So I highly suggest you get your tickets now. What else can I say? Please like, share, and subscribe.
Read the script. No, it's funny. Click like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Please do, please do, please do. I've been guided just very quickly. Spirit wants me to give you all a You Matter as we close out. Thing. I haven't did these in a minute either. Okay, so pick a pile between number from 1 through 4. 1 through 4. That's too many. That's too many. Put your foot down. Let me get there. So I can see this is your message from Spirit. I used to love these little thingies. Give me a second. Okay, that's too many. Can I just have one? Thank you. Clear. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. One of them got it. Okay, I'll be quiet because everybody's going to be. Okay, so if you picked one, this is your message from Spirit as we sign off.
Can you make yourself bigger?
I can make myself bigger. I don't know. I'm only 5'1". Can I?
I mean, I'm
Your
taller than you.
aura's
I'm
popping.
5'1"
I
and
feel you from
3/4.
here.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. All right. So this is it. You matter. You know, this thing is tricky. You don't like you to get too close before I'm gonna freeze up on you. Okay. It says you matter. You're important. And your presence on this earth makes a difference. Unknown. So if you did pick number 1, that's yours. If you pick pile number 2, your message is this. There is magic about you that is all your own. D.M. Dillinger. Is that the DM? No, I'm saying. Pile number 3. You are one of a kind. That's the way nature made you. Barbara Shear. Okay, and you pick pile number 4. You got 2. Thank you for being. Native American greeting.
You know, I say that all the time. I don't even know where that came from. I'm just going to say that.
It's a Native American greeting. And other one is you are loved just for being who you are, just for existing. Ramadas. Okay, so that is your message there as we close out for today's again, seize the energy and the new moon energies. All right, then get us on out of here, Kathy V.
Make sure you take and empty out the sand out of all your shoes and your socks and get rid of all your virtual trash from around the sandbox. Make sure you take your own sand pail home. And like always, wishing you the best life ever. See you real soon.
All right, and April Williams.
Stay blessed, stay golden, and remember, you were made for this golden life.
And as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, namago. Mwah. Love, and we'll be talking to you real soon. Goodbye.